Welcome to the Rules Don't Apply show, where you discover successful entrepreneurs and all the rules they have broken that led them to their success today. Welcome to another episode at the Rules Don't Apply show. We're so excited to have Afa Ah Loo. We're so freaking excited. So I'm going to introduce you real quick. I'm just going to read off my notes here because I was watching a lot of your stuff last night, and it was really, really inspiring. And this is probably like I can relate to you in a lot of ways. And we're going to go dive in deep into it. I know that you grew up in Samoa, and there's so many things that I just want to get into it. But Afa Ah Loo, he is a self-taught fashion designer from Samoa. How cool is that? And I'm so excited to touch on that pinnacle moments of your life when you got invited to, was it England?
Yeah, Buckingham Palace.
I know, freaking. Imagine getting an invitation from the Queen herself.
Yeah,
Like that's
a weird moment.
yeah, that's like the coolest moment. I reread that over and over again. I'm like, what? I wonder how it would be.
Seriously,
I mean,
seriously.
Get an invitation about like the King of Tonga, like yeah, like but like Queen of England, where everybody know who she is. That's
Yeah.
so amazing. And you also made history to be like you were the first Samoan to be on the Project Run. Is it the Project Runway? So I'm so excited to be able to touch on that. And then a lot of people messaged me. They suggested your name, and that's why we decided to bring you on the show. But also, Austin's wife, she's a huge fan of yours. She was like so excited. She's here sitting at the back, chilling. So she's on VIP seating today.
VIP, yeah.
VIP,
Yeah.
for sure.
We're so excited. So we're just gonna dive right into it. And I know that you grew up in Samoa, and I'm very interested in your name. How did you get the name?
Well, my name is not really Afa. My Afa is a translation of my real name, which is Arthur. I was raised by my grandparents. My biological parents got a divorce when I was like 3 months old, and my grandparents didn't know how to speak any English. And so obviously I was named after I was passed along to the next set of parents. So I came with the name, and my parents didn't know how to pronounce Arthur. So Afa was just it, and that's just how it stuck. Nobody called me. I didn't even know my name was Arthur, until I was a senior in high school. I didn't even know that my biological parents, were my biological parents until then as well, because that was the first time I saw my birth certificate. It's weird that how they do it in the islands, like when you sign up for school here, I'm assuming you get your birth certificate, all of that. In Samoa, it was like, yeah, I want my kids to be in school, and that was it, and they don't ask for no birth certificate to like validate and verify your age and stuff. And so I remember when I wanted to play rugby, and the rugby coach wanted to verify my age, so I'm not overage or underage. And that's when I asked my mom for my birth certificate, and she gave me the birth certificate. It had Arthur on it, and I'm like, who the hell is this?
Like, this ain't me.
This ain't me. Who is this white guy over here? Right? And my whole entire name is an English name. Even my last name, Ah Loo, is Chinese. It's not a Samoan. And my grandparents' last name was Folasa. So my name was Afa Folasa. It was very Samoan.
Wow.
You can't get any more Samoan than that. And so when I look at it's Arthur Ah Loo, and I'm like, I don't know who this is. But this ain't me. And then I look at the parents. They're not my grandparents, because I wasn't legally adopted, right? I was just given away. I was just given away like Moses. I'm kidding. But yeah, so my biological parents' name were still on my birth certificate, and so I was like, I don't even know who these people are. And then come to find out that those were my real parents. But that's where I got my name from. It's just a Samoan translation of Arthur, Afa. But yeah, I'm not an Arthur. I like Afa better. Nobody call me Arthur after this. I'll find you.
Find you.
It's crazy. So I moved here from Tonga to 2011, and went to school, And then they asked me for my name, and I didn't want to tell them my name is Nafe. So my brother came up with this nickname. It was NT. So it was N for my first name, and then T for the middle name.
Oh,
But
nice.
because in the island, we don't know the difference between the T and the D. So I just tell people my name is Andy.
Oh,
So my Facebook, Instagram, it was all Andy.
Andy.
So when they
That's
tell me
so
the story,
funny.
I'm like, whoa.
that's so funny. Because the Tongans, they pronounce their T's as
Yeah,
T's.
it's a T, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. That's so funny. Yeah, well, even when I go order food, even with the name Afa, people don't know how to. They say alpha. I mean, I've gotten like awful. Yeah, I was like, "What's your name, Afa?" And they're like, "Awful." I was like,
No.
"Sure.
You're like, I guess.
Tell me how you really feel."
Yeah.
So now I use my brother-in-law's name is Ken. So every time I go order food, it's, "What's your name?" Ken. That's my name. It's Ken when I order food because I don't want to spell Alpha and try to be like it's Afa. Anyway, sorry. All about the name.
Yeah, because I went to play golf. I mean, Brad told you this because they were asking for my name, and I told him Nafe. And the dude looked at me, he's like, nothing?
Nothing?
I'm like, no, that's not. Yeah, that's why when people ask my name, I'm like, man, I'm not gonna tell you my name.
Nothing
What
at
do you always
awful.
say? Yeah, what do you
Sounds
say?
great.
You're like Nafe, like
Yeah,
cafe?
like
cafe?
cafe, but with the N. Like,
Yeah.
Nafe.
So, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so now when I order food now, that's a good trick because I usually just.
I
put
tell
my
someone else's name. Yeah, my brother-in-law's name, Ken.
Next time you see me, call me Austin.
Yeah, we're all changing names.
We're all changing names.
Some white names.
Some white names.
Really
yeah.
cool. So when did you end up here in the U.S.?
2016.
Oh, holy!
Yeah. 2016. I've been here 8 years. I don't know how far that back that was.
So how old were you when you moved over to the U.S.?
30.
Wow.
Yeah, 30. So and I'm now 38. I think I turned 39 this year. I don't remember my
After 30, it's like
after 30.
I
Yeah,
don't even want to count.
exactly.
I'm not
I
counting.
was born in 85.
So in that little span of time, you just blew up and you do the things that you're doing right now.
Yeah. I mean, I started fashion when I was in the islands.
Yeah.
And I've because when I first started fashion, everybody does prints over there, and everyone does like island wear and resort wear. When I wanted to start fashion, I didn't want to compete with those people, and I was like, why would I want to be compared to those people, those other designers who are already great at what they're doing? What do I need to do to stand out and make something different? So I went into the world of high fashion, red carpet kind of look, evening wear. Nobody was doing that in Samoa at that time. I mean, there were far in between, but they usually add prints on it. Nobody was doing just plain fabric and just like like what you see on red carpet kind of stuff. So I decided to go in that route, and that's how I kind of established my name as a designer in the islands in the first few years growing up in Samoa and starting my own brand in Samoa, and was able to travel to New Zealand and Fiji and showcase because of that, because people noticed what I was doing and it was different. And then when I came here, I had to do the opposite because everybody does, like sequin and everything over here. So I had to do prints here so that way I could stand out in a way. So that's how I kind of switched. But yeah, within that time span of 8 years, whatever, 8 years, 8 years. That's how long it is because I got here when I was 30 and now I'm 38. That makes sense. But within that time span, I was able to accomplish a lot of things, and I'm pretty proud of myself for being able to do that. Yeah.
I'm like so proud of you. Like it's just that little short of time, and you also like talk about rugby. Like growing up in the island.
I mean, in no way I was a good rugby player.
Same here.
Yeah, there's no coordination in this body.
That's why I'm playing golf.
Yeah. But yeah.
Like how were you dealing, like, I mean, walk us through like dealing with the expectation, because there has to be like a huge expectation of like going from rugby to doing the fashion, to become like a fashion designer. Like what sparks that for you? What started out that one for you?
Well, like I said, I was never a rugby player, so I wouldn't call myself a rugby player. I was just interested in. But the expectation was growing up in the islands. It was very this is the man's job, you're supposed to do it. This is the woman's job, you're supposed to do it. There's no crossing in between. Although there's Fafafingis and Fakalitis in Samoa in the islands, which is pretty much a third gender in Samoa, and it's normal in the islands. It was just if you are a straight male, you are expected to do certain things, and to be in the fashion industry was very different. I mean, it comes with a lot of misconception, if you will. Being a man in the fashion industry, automatically people in the audience think that you're gay. Um, I think my very first time thinking that people didn't think that I was gay being in the fashion industry was being here in America, coming here, and people didn't really ask about my sexuality automatically when I told them I was a fashion designer, which was really weird to me because in the islands, when you say, "Oh yeah, I sew," people automatically assume
Yeah.
that. Um, but the expectation was that to do something that was more substantial. I think everywhere is like that, but I think more so in the islands. You can be a banker. People think that you work at a bank that there's a lot of money there, so you make a lot of money. No, um, people. That's what the islands. Our parents think you should be a teller at a bank. I was like, well, that's not. Just because you work at a bank where there's money doesn't mean you make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of expectation in that way. But and my dad, was very much that person. It was very hard for him to grasp the idea of me being in the world that was mostly women and seen as a woman's job or Fafafinga's job right here. So he had a hard time. I think he never actually appreciated my talent till the day that he passed on. But my mom was my biggest supporter. I think without my mother, I would have not been here. Um, because she was supporting me. She was very much who cares? If they don't pay your bills, pay them no mind. And just that mindset of doing whatever makes you happy. Because at the end of the day, you go home by yourself, and that's what makes you sit with yourself. Is what she says. So yeah.
Yeah, because I can really see in your work and what you do, you're so passionate and you love it. And that's what I'd say to anybody too, is like, for me, finding what I love has been like the most freeing thing, And so seeing the success that you've had from just being able to do what you love and feeling that, I think that's super cool to watch your story and the progression of it. I mean, coming over from the islands and then doing stuff that's unconventional, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and it's just one of those things where I mean, I never saw myself being a fashion designer, growing up in an environment that I grew up. But I always knew I was a creative kid. I was my most happiest when I was creating with my hands or thinking creatively. I hated math. Um, Whoever loves math, I don't know how to get there, but good job to you. Yeah.
That ain't my thing.
Yeah. To whoever loves math. But like I was just a creative kid. I grew up. My parents both sang. My parents both were very musical people. My mom liked to weave a lot of things. My dad was a carpenter. So it was, we love building stuff, and creating with our hands. So I just knew that I was a creative kid, and that was I was my most happiest when I was being a creative kid. But I didn't realize fashion was going to be it. I always thought it was going to be like a carpenter or a carver. No, far from it. Yeah.
Well, you talked about like at a young age seeing Project Runway and like, I want to be on Project Runway. I want to be the first Samoan to be on Project Runway. Walk us through your feelings when you got onto the show and did that.
Yeah. I always say this, but the only thing I know how to be is be Samoan. I'm a very proud Samoan. It's the only thing I feel like I know truly about myself is being Samoan because I grew up in the culture and I was raised very Samoan in the islands, and so seeing myself as hopefully an inspiration to other Samoan kids was very much something that I aspired to be. Um, and watching Project Runway, 5 seasons behind in the islands, and thinking, hey, I'm creative. I know how to sew. I want to be on that show. I want to be the very first Samoan, and being able to be casted onto the show was a huge milestone for me. And I mean, reality TV show, I always say there's nothing real about reality TV show. Some things are real. The emotions are for sure real, but to get the emotion was not real.
Yeah.
There's something that builds up.
Yeah.
The producers are always like, okay, do this to make you look crazy.
Make you look
So
crazy.
if you're
like,
watching
no.
The Real Housewife, turn it off.
Turn it off.
Turn it off.
And I was there for one whole season for Real Housewives. So, yeah, it's just one of those things, to be in the studio and have like not thousands, but like hundreds of cameras on you. It's just a surreal moment to be able to think, hey, I watched the show in the islands and now I'm actually here doing it. And I'm the first Samoan to be on it and to be able to say I'm actually from Samoa. I wasn't I'm not Samoan by way of America. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
wasn't born in
yeah.
America. So it's a cool thing to say. If I can make it, anyone can make it at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, but it's impossible. I mean,
Yeah.
to be able to picture everything, because for me, from the island, watching the TV, it was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Because you were talking. I mean, you just talking about things, speaking into existence. It's a little like literally unrealistic just being from the island because there's a lot of obstacles to be able to get here.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer of and it's an island mindset and a Samoan mindset. I know it is for here and culturally, but I believe that everything happens for a reason, and I believe that all my blessing comes because I took care of my parents. And the moment that my mom passed, because my mom was the last one to pass out of my parents, that's when everything happened for me. And I still feel her, around when I'm in my ups and my downs and all my successes and my failures. I feel her the most, and I think about her the most. And I truly believe because I took care of my parents is the reason why all my blessings are here. And I don't know. It's culturally it's very different. In Samoa, when your parents are old, you don't really put them in a nursing home. You take care of them until they die. Here it's very different. People have busy lives, and it's most convenient to take your parents somewhere else. Taking care, we'll pay for them. So it's a very different cultural experience for me to come into a culture that's very different from how I grew up. And so to see that and say and think, well, that's very different because I would have never done that to my parents. But if you have the resources, I guess I could have done that, but I would have never. But I know for a fact that that's where my blessing comes from is being true to my calling and taking care of my parents because they were my grandparents and they were very old, and being able to make sure that they were taken care of to the day that they died, and from there on out, all my blessings came, and I'm a true believer of that. It's what good you put out is what's gonna come to you.
Yeah. So talk about like blessings. What deal this day? What is your most like your biggest blessing by far?
Right. I think it's my wife and my kids. That is my biggest blessing. I just went to American Samoa, and I don't think I ever told my wife this, but I went to Samoa this past month to teach workshops, sewing workshops and fashion workshops to the people over there. And I remember the second day I was there, I felt like, gosh, I don't feel at home here anymore. I want to go back home, which is Utah, which is so weird for me to say that because I then realized that wherever my wife and my kids are is where home is for me. And I never thought that I would say that in a million years, being Samoan, growing up in Samoa, and being passionate about being Samoan. So I know that for a fact that is my biggest blessing is my wife and my kids because obviously they give me everything that I need. At the end of the day, when I leave work and everything that I do for a living, I go back and they're my safety net. And yeah, that was a weird experience to go back home and think. I hate this. No, I didn't hate, but you know what I mean. Like I hate being here without my wife and my kids. I didn't want to be in Samoa anymore without my wife and my kids. So yeah,
Dang.
That's so cool.
yeah,
Yeah, to our listeners out there, you're not feeling this energy, but the energy in here is really cool.
It is really
I'm really grateful that we had the opportunity to be able to be here and talk with you. But yeah, so going through some of your accomplishments and being able to be invited to England at the Buckingham Palace. What was that like for you, and how did that come about?
Well, it was for the Commonwealth Fashion Exchange. That's what they were. That's what they called it. It was put together by a this group of people that was into sustainable fashion. And obviously, if you don't know, fashion is a big contributor to pollution in the world, especially dyeing fabric. It takes a lot of tons of water, thousands of tons of water to dye the shirt that you wear, the shirt that everything that we wear. It pollutes. There's a lot of pollution that goes into the earth because of fashion. So especially fast fashion, to be specific. And if you don't know what fast fashion is,
Google
we'll
it.
talk about that.
Google it, and then find him next time. Next time you see him, ask him about that.
But anyway, they wanted to do something that was just about sustainable fashion, and so it was hosted by the royal family, and the royal family is the head of the Commonwealth. Commonwealth. Tonga is one of them. Fiji, Samoa, we're all part of the Commonwealth. India, all of that, and so they wanted to invite one designer from each country to represent their country
so
to do something sustainable fashion.
Holy crap!
That's so cool.
Yeah, and so if you are from the islands, we're very sustainable when it comes to fashion. What I mean by that is that we still wear clothing that were made that are made from barks of trees, and when we do get clothing, we wear it until it's falling apart.
Yep.
There's no mindset of what's the newest trend. I'm gonna go to H&M and buy this new sweater because the one I'm wearing that I just bought last month isn't really cool anymore.
That happens a lot in Utah too.
Yeah.
It's like quick.
Exactly. That's why it's called fast fashion because instead of your conventional fashion houses like Gucci and them that produces maybe 10 collections per year, someone like H&M and all those like Forever 21, they turn like 67 collections per year.
Wow.
That's a lot of wasted fabric and child labor and all of that, And so in the islands, we're very sustainable when it comes to fashion because most of our people get clothing and they hold on to it and wear it until it's all falling apart, and then they move on to the next thing. There's no instant gratification when it comes to getting things that are available because it isn't available. So sorry, I'm veering off to what I was.
No,
talking
you're
about.
fine.
But Buckingham Palace, I got the invitation, an email from them, and they were like, "We'd like to invite you to this show in Buckingham Palace." I was like, "Who the hell does a fashion show in Buckingham Palace?" No one, right? And I'm like, "This has to be some sort of like
Yeah, you're like scam.
Scam with some-
fake.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
fake.
it's fake." So I never emailed them back for like months. I went to Samoa, did a fashion show there, and I got another email saying, "Hey, just following up on that last email." And I was like, "Okay, well, let me research into it." Research the name of the company that was putting it together. It was called Eco Age, and they were pretty legit. And so I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it." Still adamant about the things, right?
Yeah.
But I think what really sealed the deal is when I got, the big invitation from Buckingham Palace with like the Queen's seal on it. It
gosh.
was like this thick, it was like legit expensive paper. From it's an invitation on the mail. I was like,
Crazy.
oh shoot, it's actually real. This is a real thing. But yeah, it was one of those experiences. I got to meet a lot of like other Pacific Island designers. I think Bo Fonua from Tonga, she represented Tonga. Hupfeld Horder from Fiji. So a lot of different designers, and then I met fashion royalty like Naomi Campbell, Anna Wintour, Eddie Enninful. So it's just people that
You look up to.
right like you see on TV and you're
Admire.
like, she's
God.
beautiful,
Yeah.
and then you're actually they're actually talking to you about your garment, and it's like,
Oh my.
how did you design it? What's the meaning behind it? Where are you
like,
from? Yeah.
Trying to talk.
You're like, wow, Naomi Campbell's asking me from where about where I'm from, and I'm telling her how I got the inspiration of my looks, and like I didn't go to school for fashion. You know what I mean? It's just like it was a really cool experience, and I think that is my biggest accomplishment as a fashion designer is to be able to represent Samoa at that because growing up in Samoa. It was I see my friends playing rugby, and they always go overseas, get signed in England and Australia, whatever. to play rugby, and I thought I want to represent Samoa, but I'm not coordinated. So how can I represent Samoa? Not with rugby, that's for damn sure. So, but yeah, I was able to represent Samoa with my own God-given talent, and that's the thing, And being able to be there to represent Samoa in Buckingham Palace in front of the royal family was a really cool experience for me. And say, yeah, that was the only one that has ever happened in Buckingham Palace, and it was a really cool experience to be there, and especially to share it with other Pacific Islander designers. That was really cool too. We were like, whoa.
You're like, where am I?
Yeah, I know. And it's like, the people there, the servers are like, there's no photography. And you're like, okay. Yeah, and the guards were like, ma'am, we just said no photography. It's like, okay.
You're like, I'm still taking photos.
I'm still taking a photo. I got to remember this.
Imagine going to jail for taking a photo.
No, for real.
Arrest me.
That one time I got invited and then I got kicked out. Because I'm taking a photo. Anyway, yeah, it was a cool experience for sure.
That's so cool. I think it's really cool to just see that you're standing in your talent and you're just happy to do it, because a lot of, just our listeners and people that I know, it's difficult to stand in your talent, especially when it's not something that's like in Samoa where they say it's you can't do fashion, as a male. That's really hard to do in society, is like to break those rules and go, well, I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, he's breaking rules left and right.
And that's what's up.
Whoa.
Yeah.
There was a piece of what you that last comment that you made. You said that you didn't go to school.
Yeah.
You telling me that this whole entire time you didn't go to school to do what you were doing?
No.
Wow.
It's all self-taught.
That is so
My mom sewed. I grew up learning how to sew on a hand winding machine. It's an old school machine in the islands, and there's one that you can pedal as well. There's no electricity that goes with it. But yeah, my mom sewed, but she never taught me how to sew. I was just a curious kid, which sometimes was a good thing and sometimes a bad
thing. Yeah.
But yeah, I back then my brothers, there was a trend. I think it's a trend again where guys would just like cut off the sleeves of their shirt and have like this big old gaping hole.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. If you want that, just go.
I did it. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I didn't do it.
Just go buy a singlet. You know what I mean? Why would you waste your shirt? Come on.
Yeah, I have one back, so I didn't want to do it because it exposed that side. So
yeah. I have multiple rolls.
Yeah.
There ain't no way for me to show. No.
Texas Roadhouse got nothing.
Well, I wasn't in high school. I was in a lot better shape, so I was trying to show off my muscles.
Dang.
I had never had muscles.
Never. I don't know what that is.
I've always been skinny or fat. So there you go. There's no in between. There's no There's no like, oh yeah, I was in the gym. No.
Yeah. Well, the messed up thing about like being Polynesian is like when you're so skinny, they look at you as like, hey, you need to eat. Are you sick? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you start eating, and they look at you like,
wow, you need to not eat.
You need to not eat. You're like, big. You're like, but they don't say big. They're like, you fat.
I know.
That's what my dad said.
You need to stop talking.
Right?
Your dad says that?
Yeah, my dad said it all the time.
Yeah.
Like the first thing he walked into the door, he'll look at me and he was like, hey, you need to stop drinking soda. I'm like, I haven't drank soda in 2 months. Like, I still look like this. Like,
you're like, it's that Golden Corral.
Yeah, it's that Golden Corral, baby.
It's that McDonald's.
Oh my gosh.
So, what was your first invitation? Like your first
Fashion
offer?
show?
Yeah.
When I went to New Zealand to showcase in New Zealand, I forgot what it's called. Polynesian Show Off. I think what it's called.
How do you even get that?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I don't know how I got that. A friend of mine was helping put it together, and I sewed a few pieces for her and other people, and she thought it would be a cool idea for me to come do a collection. And at that point, I've never done a collection. And if you're in fashion and you know what a collection is, it has to look cohesive. or look like it belonged together. Well, my first collection didn't look like it would belong together. Every single piece looked like it was from different eras, right? And it
Like,
was,
I'm putting together the best pieces.
yeah,
Let's
exactly. I'm gonna do 170s, 180s, 190s, 2000s. So it was just one of those. It was just yeah. That was my very first invitation. Invitation was to showcase my collection in New Zealand. I mean, I'm still proud of it, but will I show it again? Absolutely not. I will bury those things.
You're like, that's in the archives.
Yeah,
Never
yeah, yeah.
coming out.
Deleting all those photos. But yeah, that was a cool moment. And they wanted me to close, which is weird because like I said, I'd never showed a collection then, so I had no idea what I was getting myself into. But yeah, it was fine. People loved it back then. I bet they were like, "It sucks, but we're gonna celebrate you anyway." So thank you for hyping me up.
What is the preparation like going in when you're about like I mean were big moments. New Zealand, you getting the invitation through the palace, and I mean you've done a lot here in Utah as well. Like what is the preparation like? Walk us through the feeling of stepping into the moment, knowing that tomorrow this is gonna be it.
Yeah.
I'm doing this.
I don't know. I grew. My dad always said where there was no emotions growing up. My dad never said that he loved me until the day he died. I'd never heard him say that. So I grew up in an environment where you don't show your emotions. Even when you're stressed and you're about to die, 1,000 deaths inside, you can't show that you're stressed, right? You're like,
We can't afford it.
man. Yeah. And he always said, only babies cry. Why are you crying? And so it was just one of those things where you're like, I cannot cry in front of people. So we just gotta work through it. So from that, I think my biggest, one of my strongest, I don't know, my strengths is not being stressed out. I don't get stressed out at all, if any. And I think that has been a blessing for me. And so in those big moments, I've just conditioned myself to not be stressed out about certain things, and I'm very organized, sometimes too organized. And so I've always been very much okay. I'm gonna go through my bullet points, and be able to make sure that everything is on point, but also thinking about it and not being able to get stressed
about
out
it,
too
yeah.
much about it. And then at the end, that's when we drink our lives away. I'm kidding. That's when we release. I'm kidding. But yeah, that's the preparation for me. It's just. But like I said, there isn't much as far as mental preparation go for me because it's just been a thing where I've been conditioned my entire life to not really think about it too much, and you're gonna do it, and it's gonna happen, and at the end of the day, it's gonna end, and then you're gonna go home and relax after that. So,
And I think as Polynesian, that's one of our greatest superpower. I would say is that we're not overthinkers.
no,
We like when the scripture said that we just think about the day, we don't worry about tomorrow. Like
That's what we
the
do
business
best.
scripture, right?
who
Yeah.
cares about tomorrow when we're
cares
living
about
right
tomorrow?
now?
See, that's what I want to learn. I was asking him about that. We were in the truck the other day, and I was asking him about that. Like, how do you do that? Because I just like I tend to overthink sometimes, and I'm just like, man. He's like, well, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's hard to like relate with people because he's like, I don't really care.
And I think that's where how Pacific Islanders, they're very relaxed, and I think it just comes with that, they're just very much in the moment type of people, at least for us, I guess. But yeah, but being an overthinker also has it's a good thing, because then you're more prepared for the future. You know what I mean? You're like, I'm overthinking of what I'm anticipating to happen, and I'm planning for it. As far as for me, I'm like, who cares about tomorrow?
Yeah.
We can have a good time today.
Yeah, it's true. So it's good to be an overthinker if you actually do something. About
Exactly.
It, right? Instead
When
of
you
sitting
overthink
there.
and plan ahead.
Yeah,
But you're overthinking and you're stressing yourself out.
Yeah, no,
No.
Yeah.
not a good idea.
No.
That's a good idea.
Don't do that.
Corral.
Yeah.
Yeah, Golden Go to Corral. Eat your life away.
Eat some life. Yeah. Eat away.
So what is it like being a male in the fashion industry? Like what what are the good and the bad that comes along with that?
The good is it's always just a surprise. It's always what do you do for a living? I'm a fashion designer. You're like, what kind of fashion designer? And then I show them what I've done. It's like, oh, you're like a legit fashion designer. I'm like, as opposed to a fake one. So it's a good thing, to break the stigmatism that comes. I don't know if that's a word, but you know what I mean.
No, yeah.
To break that mold of what people automatically think when it comes to a male career, but and also being able to now with my kids, I'm a big advocate of helping them realize what their strengths are and what they love to do, and guiding them in that way, and hopefully that they'll do the right thing and the best thing. And I hope that when they grow up and see what I have done, I hope that they think, oh, I had the coolest dad. But I think the negative part of being in a female dominated industry is just again the stigmatism that comes with it, and female or gay, what do you call 'em? Field career. It's just people thinking that you're a certain thing, or the other thing is people think that I work in fashion and my life is so glamorous. And I was just talking to my other friend who's also a fashion designer. And when people think that you're a fashion designer, you're always on a red carpet or like doing fabulous things. He's like, no, like 80% of the time, I'm like sewing my life away and pinning myself to fabrics, and working, working, working. People don't see that behind the scene, but it takes a lot of work to get to where, I mean, you guys would know, being successful as you guys are, it's not an easy thing. It's just people just see the good, but they don't really see the hard work that goes into it and all the no sleep that you get into it.
Because they see the finished product.
Yeah.
Unless they watch Project Runway, they see the stresses and the.
But even that, even Project Runway, there's like I said, there's nothing real about it. It's just like when it just sets people's expectation, and people automatically think a certain way when it comes to fashion. Fashion's very subjective. People have their own idea of what fashion's supposed to look like, or what looks good and what looks bad in fashion, or I guess anything. I guess. But so people automatically judge people by what they see, and so being in a reality TV show, I've realized that, like I'd mentioned, that the producers are people that are there to do their job and to get ratings.
Yeah.
And they'll do whatever it takes to make you look crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. And they're like, do you want a little shot of vodka? Maybe 4.
Are you serious?
It's like, sure. I'll take it.
Might as well.
I'll take.
I'm about to sell, but it's all good.
Yeah.
5 right now and 5 in 2.
5 in 5 minutes. Because they're trying to just get you to do certain things, and
it's their whole marketing thing and how they promote the show.
Yeah, and I'd realize that that's what they're doing. They're doing their job, which I hate them for doing that, but I love that for them.
Yeah.
But I hate that it's in my expense, to get those ratings. But yeah.
Well, I commend you for putting yourself out there to do something like that, because that is hard to go and especially put yourself in a competition on it's a worldwide stage. Mm-hmm. And then, I would just be so gutted. Like, what were your feelings like when you lost that challenge? Mm-hmm. Like we watched it, me and my wife. And so I just saw the feelings. I'm sure it was like, oh my gosh, just disappointment,
It was disappointment. The reason why I cried, if you saw the episode I left, the only reason why I cried is because my wife just gave birth, and my daughter was only 2 months when I left, and I was gone for 7 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
With no phone. They take away your phone.
Are you serious?
Your wallet. Yeah.
Hell no.
Yeah, exactly. And even in the house that you live in, they don't put a TV in there. There's no clock. You don't really see. So
you're like going crazy.
Yeah. They really cut you off from reality, right? That's what I'm saying. There's nothing real about it. So, and so the reason why I was emotional is because I myself felt like I was a failure because I left my wife and my kid, who was just 2 months, to do this, and then I got eliminated. But I think it was a great validation for me when I did get eliminated. I didn't get any backlash on what I did, as far as everybody hated my look. No, people thought that I was sent home prematurely, and
That's
someone
what I
else
thought.
was
That's what I thought. She's like,
and someone else was supposed to be taken home. But like I said, it's a show. They already have their ideas of who would elongate that show, and because if you watch the show, I was almost always the first one to be done because I'm a very fast sewer, and I didn't go my way of doing fashion is very unconventional. I didn't go to fashion school, so if you're a fashion student, you know that you drape and then you do.
There's a step by steps to it.
Yes.
A, B, C,
For
and
me,
D.
I go straight into the fabric. I cut the fabric and I do it, and I'm done. And people are like, "How do you do that?" And I was like, "How do you not do that?"
you're like, that's just the way. It
That's
works.
just the way that I think. I just when I sew a dress, if I really put myself into it, I can make a full-on gown within 5 hours. And people and other contestants were like very much into the let me just let me do all these different steps, and after I was done, I would offer my help to a lot of other contestants who wants help with something. I can sew a zipper on. And when I get interviewed for those things during confessionals, people are like, "Why are you helping other people on the show?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize that just because it's a show, you can't help people. That's weird. You just got to help people regardless of what situation you're in." So I think I wasn't bringing enough drama. I wasn't dramatic enough. I always had to remember, after the show and after it's aired, would you be proud of what you did? And I could 100% say that I am, because I never was not myself on the show.
Yeah.
I stayed true to who I am and what my parents taught me, and being Samoan. And that's just being kind and just doing unto others as they would have done what you want, be done unto you. So, yeah. I think, yeah.
So, so to be able to like show that emotion of being eliminated from the show, like in us, we grew up, we've been programmed that only babies cry.
Yeah.
We can't afford to be able to show on those emotions. How did that, like programming growing up, like, and then you going into the show, and then you breaking through the rules. And I mean, you have kids now. I mean, for me, I have kids now, and I cry all the time.
Yeah. Listen, I am the biggest crybaby right now. It's so weird to come from that.
Yeah.
So, when I dated my wife, I think it was the first 2 or 3 weeks of us dating. It was very surface level, and I knew nothing about connecting with someone in a very deep emotion type of level.
Thank you. Wait, my wife is not here today, but if you're watching this episode, here you go, right here.
Yeah,
You
I
put it word perfectly. I've been trying to explain that to my wife, but
Yeah, and I didn't know what validation meant. My wife was talking to me about validations. Like, you gotta validate my feelings. I was like, why would I need to validate your feelings when you can validate your own damn feelings? That was my thought in my very first few weeks of being dating, right? And that's honest truth, and she knows this.
We got all the
And-
guys laughing in here.
right? And I'm like, why do I need to tell you you're pretty? You should already know you're beautiful, And growing up in Samoa, that's not a thing. My dad never said to my mom, "Oh, you look really beautiful today," or like, my mother never sought out those things. But culturally, that's just how it is.
He's like, I'm with you, so
Yeah.
You already know.
Obviously, I'm still here. So when I first dated my wife, she saw that it was very surface level. It was never something deeper than that. So the reason why I'm emotional right now, but like that I'm in touch with my emotions now, is because of my wife. She forced me. If you listen to this, she had me sit down and do these things. It was called, it's 27 questions that leads to love, or something like that. Something that leads to love. It's a questionnaire that this professor. It was a research that he did at some university. I forgot. That he said that if he puts two strangers in a room and have them ask these questions to each other and have them answer these questions truthfully, by the end of the conversation, they will fall in love. And so my wife said, "Okay, there's these questions. I want you to do it with me, and I want you to be very vulnerable and answer these questions honestly, and because I want you to connect with you in a very deeper emotional level, and that's just it." And I thought, oh, it's gonna be like 10 minutes. No, it was like 5 hours.
5 hours later,
And from like it starts out very easy. It's like if you want to have dinner with someone dead or alive, who would it be? Kind of like that. It's very easy, right? No, it just gets deeper and deeper, and like it just
How do I
like
even
Next
answer
thing you
this
know, you're
question?
drowning.
yeah, yeah. And the next thing you know, they're like, "What is your deepest, darkest secret?" I'm kidding. That's not one of the questions, but you know what I mean. It just the question gets deeper and deeper as far as emotions go, and then that was the very first time I was very honest with my feelings, and I was very honest with the trauma that I grew up with. That living now in America and seeing how the culture is here, and seeing dads hug their sons and go out and spend time with them and tell them that they love them was very different, and I thought, man, I miss that, I love my dad and I appreciate him, uh, but I wish that there was that. I wish that he told me that he loved me. I wish that there was that connection. Um, so now I'm the biggest "I love you" guy, to my kids and to strangers sometimes. But
I love you though. Like, oh,
you're like, I know, and they're like, "That's weird. We just met, but you just said you love me." I'm just trying to compensate for the 30 years I never got it. Okay. But yeah, that's how, and from then on, I'd realized that it's okay to be
okay.
emotional. It's okay to show your emotions. And I always say that real men really know how to show their emotions, not afraid to cry in front of people. And I'm definitely that guy. I'm not afraid to show my emotions and be real with people. And so, especially with my kids now,
Yeah.
I'm very proud of myself because if my dad saw me the way that I parent my kids, he's probably turning over in his grave. The way that I parent and the way that I'm talk to my kids, and sometimes I apologize to my kids for things that I've done wrong. My dad never apologized to me ever, and so I think that's the one of the many things that I count as my blessings. Being here is to be able to learn and unlearn things. And bring the things that were good that I learned as the Samoan and the Samoan culture and adopt it here, and also leave the bad things because nobody really cares about it and doesn't do you or your family good.
One of the things that I catch up on, because you were talking about like being eliminated from that show, but you said that you did what you came here to do. And one thing that I love about the things that you do, like the work that you've done, and I don't know who asked you these questions, but I just remember your answer because you told them that the things that you create, like it's you design it to move people,
Yeah.
right? And I just sit there and I just watch and I'm like, man, this is really really amazing how you can move people. So what's next for you?
What's next for us? I mean, we do have a big show coming. It's in September. It's a whole week. It's called Creative Pacific. I'm gonna plug it in right here.
There we go.
do it.
It's called Creative Pacific. We had a big fashion show last year. We had 18 designers, and 15 of those designers came from the islands: Samoa, Tonga, Fiji, American Samoa, Hawaii, New Zealand. And so this year we changed the name to Creative Pacific, and it was more to highlight and celebrate creatives, not only in the Pacific but also from everywhere. So we call it Pacific because we're Pacific Islanders, but it's open to everybody. But we have a whole week show. We're bringing in a lot of people that would hopefully, instill some wisdom into people. The first day we have culture workshops. We thought we'll start with our cultures and being Pacific Islanders, and so we have people from everywhere in the islands coming to speak about different things about their culture. I mean, for Tonga, we have someone that is gonna talk about the Tongan taolunga and the faiva, the dancing,
Yeah.
and then the other one is gonna talk about the Tongan taovala and the traditional attire. For Samoa, we have someone who is the Miss Pacific Islander and Miss Samoa at the moment, coming to speak about fire knife dancing. And so, there's certain things. Second day is industry workshop where we have different creative industry coming to talk about whatever. Third day is our market day and fashion design competition, like a Project Runway kind of thing. Fourth day is our gala, and the last 2 days are fashion shows. So that's our big event happening. It's a whole week. We're really excited for it.
You say it's in September?
September
In
20.
Salt Lake.
Yeah, so it's both. We last year we did a show last year, and people were always like, "Well, why don't you do it to you in Utah County?" Or like, So this year we're switching venues, every other day.
Oh, really?
One in Utah County, one in Salt Lake County. We're moving back and forth to kind of cater that also. But yeah, it's in September 23rd to the 28th. It's called Creative Pacific.
Is the ticket live already?
Yeah, the tickets are live. It's on our website, creativepacific.org. Creative.
Listen, there you go. That's all the information. September, you have to be there.
Grab your
Yeah.
tickets.
Exactly.
Are you guys bringing the Tongan dude with the oil?
Oh, what's his name?
Have you seen that?
Peter.
No.
Pita.
No.
Peter Duff the Fool. I
So
think is his
he is
name.
like the flag
The flag bearer for the Olympics.
the
Remember?
Olympic-
Okay.
Viral.
Viral, yeah.
Viral the other year of him, like he was drenched in oil.
Drenched
Oh, yeah.
with Tongan oil.
He did it twice. The next year he did it again.
His name is Nafe Latu.
Hey man, hey, hire me, man.
Nafe como café.
Hire me, man. I want to be there.
No, we're bringing, Veronica Pome'e.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's the
awesome.
first Tongan or Polynesian to be on Sports Illustrated. So she's coming also to have a workshop on modeling and also modeling for the show. We're hoping you have Tiana Liufau, who's the choreographer on the Moana show and
Yeah.
for Dancing with the Stars.
Wow.
Not Dancing with the Stars.
There's a lot of
So you
big
think you can
names into
dance.
it.
That's what it is.
So you think
Dancing with the
you can
Stars.
dance. That's
Dancing
cool.
with the Stars.
We're going, bro. We're going.
Yeah, we're going.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want to come, please come. If you also want to sponsor us, please let us know.
There we go.
But yeah, it's a great event. It's all about celebrating creatives and bringing to light with their talents, and doing all of that. So and it's like I said, it's not just for Pacific Islanders. It's for everybody. So, and we have 22 designers this year showcasing. So 11 on the first day and 12 in the other day because I'm showcasing 2 times. So yeah, it'll be fun.
That's really cool.
So be 23. Like count me twice.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so 23.
23. Count me twice.
me twice.
Like, 1, 2.
Exactly. I
Well-
can eat for 2. I'm kidding.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to ask you before we close out the show today, if there's one thing that you could leave with our listeners, what would that be?
There's a lot of things. But I think the thing that in this conversation and being in the industry that I am in, I think the biggest thing is to not judge a book by its cover. There's a Samoan proverb that goes, "Ole upenga e fili ile po e te tala ile au," meaning that the net that is knotted at night and open in the morning. It talks about fishermen who come from their fishing at night and leave their knotted nets hanging overnight, and then they come back in the morning to untangle them. And it specifically refers to people understanding the whole situation before you speak on it.
Yeah.
And understanding what the whole entire story is and what that person's story is, and understanding all of that, and then coming back in the morning when you can see clearly, and speaking on it. I think a lot of people, especially being in the fashion industry, is so quick to not necessarily judge, but have ideas of how you should act or who you are as a person because they have this preconceived notions of what people in that industry is. Or just not in the fashion industry, but just in general. So I think that is the biggest thing that I would like to leave with is that everybody has a story and everybody is going through something. And I think we need to be more graceful and gracious. I don't know what the word is. Not only to ourselves and give ourselves more prop for doing things and surviving, but also to others and being able to understand other people's stories and their struggles and then speaking on it. So yeah, that's I think that's the most important thing for me.
I love
you guys
that.
have it?
Like, yeah, I freaking love that. If I like learn anything from you on this episode is there's a quote that you love, and he was feeling the fear and do it anyway.
Oh yeah.
And that's like, I mean, if that quote was a person, it would be you. Like to be in the industry that you're on and just doing the things that you're on, and you're like breaking through rules. Because even coming into this episode, I'm like, man, this dude just breaking rules and norms, expectation left and right. and here you are, and to be able to do it in that little span of time. I mean, I moved here 2011. You came in here 2016, but to be able to do the things that you're doing, like I can't imagine the things that you're going through. I mean, you talk on it, and you always talk about like being kind. Yeah, you wrap it up with with the message you want to leave the listener. So we appreciate your time. I know it was a long drive for you to be able to be here, but I am honored. I see you on Instagram everywhere. You do a lot of amazing work, and to be able to sit across from you, like it's an honor.
Yeah, it's an honor. Appreciate it.
Yeah, very blessed. So thank you for
Well,
coming
thank you
on.
for also having me. I mean, you guys do a lot for the community too, and I appreciate you too. I was very surprised that I got the message, and then I messaged you, and you never messaged me back. And you're like, maybe he changed his mind.
He's good at that. He's good.
Yeah. Changing his mind or message back?
Messaging back. Really good at not messaging back.
But
Maybe
no,
changing his mind.
I wasn't
does
thinking
it.
about tomorrow. Okay? I was thinking about today.
today, yeah.
Yeah.
And you messaged it was
And
the
he
past.
mentioned it,
Yeah. I didn't think about the past no more. Exactly. But no, thank you for having me. This was a really nice sit down in Talanoa and just conversation. It was really nice to share.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Sully, thank you, bro.